Well, this morning we're talking electric grid issues similar to the problems we saw this past Christmas when many in and around Charlotte lost power. Well, joining us now is our good friend Rustywise from Mister Sparky. So how can people make sure they are prepared and not experience the power outage that happened this past Christmas?
Yeah, on Christmas Eve, we had a major outage in the area. A lot of people were without power, and Dukeenergy lost their grid. And, you know, it was a big deal. And Duke had a couple coal-fired plants that they had to reduce the power, and so they had to start shutting down grid. As you can see here, that's part of Duke's grid. And they had a real issue because what they underestimated, their computer models were saying, oh, you're okay. But everyone was home, retail was still open, and everyone was home cooking and using a whole lot of energy. Well, Duke thought they could buy energy from nearby utilities, and they said, no, we don't have any to give you. So they had a real problem. And basically the engineers were praying that the sun would come out on Christmas Eve so they didn't have to shut more people down. They had 500,000 people out.
That's a lot of people that's out. So what about people with electric vehicles, and what about also the solar panels that we've seen kind of pop up all over the place?
Well, you know, everyone says I've got an electric vehicle, I'll just power my home, or I've got solar.
Exactly.
Well, you can do that for a half a day or a day, and then if it turns into a couple of days, then how are you going to get mobile? You might drain the power on your vehicle, then you can't leave. Same way with solar. Solar's good if the sun's out. If the sun's not out, solar doesn't work. And so we're still pushing energy through wires, and their solar farm, they work great if the sun's out. If the sun's not out, or if it's nighttime, then the solar farms do not work. And so the engineers were praying that the sun came out on Christmas Eve.
Oh, it's dependent upon the sun. Okay, what else can homeowners do during a power outage?
Well, of course, you can purchase generators, whether it's a portable or a standby. And of course, we install generators. And I know right now the shiny object in the room is going totally electric. And a lot of these apartment complexes that we were out to on Christmas Eve, we had several apartment complexes that were totally electric, and they couldn't bring their power back on because it kept tripping the breakers. So heat pumps and EV chargers are being added to the grid, but what you can do is purchase a generator or have some backup power, because as a society, we are still pushing electrons through wires. And I think, you know, when people are used to flipping the light switch on, it's automatic, the power comes on. But if you're totally electric in your home, you better be thinking about having some sort of backup power, because as we saw on Christmas Eve, they had rolling blackouts, and it could happen again.
So where can people find you to go ahead to avoid this type of problem?
Well, you can call the number on the screen. You can go to wisegenerators.com or mistersparkycharlotte.com. We'll do analysis on your home. If you're totally electric, we'll come out and say, hey, maybe you need a portable, or maybe you need a backup power system, or maybe you need a home standby generator. We can do an energy analysis on your home or business and say, hey, this is what you need, because Christmas Eve is a red flag. It's kind of like Bernie Madoff.
Gotcha.
It's a red flag, and you can't ignore the red flags.
Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.